Hey, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to our Counterpoise podcast. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Samantha Adams, and I'm also here joined with my other two co-hosts. You guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yes, my name is Malik Foster. I'm a co-host for the Counterpoise podcast.
Hi, I'm Everett Stevenson. I'm another co-host as well for the Counterpoise podcast. And today we have a really good show coming up. But before we get into that, I want to highlight our businesses of the week. This week we have Lovely Company pulling up their website here momentarily, and it is Andre Stringfellow accounting firm. And so here we go. They are a CPA with Andre Stringfellow, and they provide accounting services as well as taxes and any other services that individuals may need. 1 second as we get the website up.
Yeah. So while he's pulling that up, did you guys have a good week?
Yeah, I had a pretty good week. Everything's fine. Family's doing good. I'm doing good, so can't complain.
That's good.
What about you?
My week was busy. Kind of job I have, it's just like as being a criminal defense attorney, like the work is never ending. And with the COVID restrictions being lifted in some ways, it's created more work because now there's like the floodgates are starting to open, so there's this huge backlog that we've been working on. So we've been super busy at my job.
Yeah, life of attorney is always work.
Mm-hmm.
Say that.
I definitely want to thank you guys for your patience there for a second, but do have the LinkedIn version of it, and here we are. We have Mr. Andre Stringfellow, his LinkedIn page. Again, he provides accounting and financial services in the Metro Detroit, Michigan area, greater Michigan area. Stringfellow has been known to provide, I believe, 10 to 15 years of employment as a CPA. He also served as a chief financial officer for Western Lion Family and numerous other positions within his time in financing. So we want to highlight Mr. Stringfellow and his accounting work. I know he also has a firm, Stringfellow Accounting, and they provide accounting work. So if anyone needs any accounting services, that is one place that you can contact and receive those services. So we definitely want to give that business a shout out and recognize Mr. Stringfellow for the things that he's doing and the work that he has put in.
Okay, thanks for sharing that, E. So today, guys, we will be discussing the shifts in the way Americans are working, its impact, as well as factors influencing how they find employment and where they live. So I believe we have, I want to say 2 videos, guys, for everybody who's watching the live video and for people who are going to catch a replay on YouTube. We're going to start off with the self-employment. That's one of the topics we want to discuss, and the employment issue currently here in the United States. Do we have that video queued up?
We certainly do, sir.
$63 for car insurance. Now look at how much he pays.
Yeah, don't mind the ads, guys.
28.
So this was a video by PBS Voices.
Oh, this is dangerous.
And it highlights the individual who
truly
he's an
live,
HVAC
like, in America,
engineer. Just 1 second.
you need to at least 55,000, 60,000. That's just
Mr.
like
Santee,
to be able to survive.
And one of the reasons why we wanted to highlight this particular piece of work was it referred to Mr. Santiago's piece of the American dream and how he was able to, like you said, make it in America, and understanding that that's the type of income that he wanted to have, and that was that 55 to 60 range that he referred to. And this documentary spoke on and learned about how he was able to make his transition into becoming a heating and cooling technician, as well as owning his own farm. One of the things that his own business, I want to highlight some pieces in this show in which he talked about his journey along the way.
And when they're probably a year in, 2 years in, that's not what they want to do. So now you're stuck with the student loan, you're stuck with the debt. And in this, I was like, yeah, I don't need school.
Lewis's misgivings aren't unfounded. Students from low-income families are far less likely to finish a 4-year program. This is true regardless of academic achievement.
Meaning it's more likely the financial burdens that jeopardize their graduation.
Factor in rising tuition and crushing debt loads. It's no wonder many people like Lewis might see college as more of a risky gamble than a sure path to success.
So one of the things Lewis talked about in his interview was how he looked at, traditional school and finding a trade and a university that would be able to, a school that would be able to provide him with that skill set so that he could eventually be able to get off in the work world and make a living. And his comparison was in comparison to other people who may have went traditional routes to get a traditional college degree, whether it's a bachelor's, associates, doctorates, masters, and so on and so forth. The comparison in which how much individuals made in their lifetime was brought up, and it's going to be one of the clips that we talk to next. And then also the cost of the education was some of the things that he referenced in his decision making. He said he didn't really like going to school, so he didn't want to go to school for a long time, and he also wanted to be able to, find a way to make employment soon. And so we're going to go fast forward to another little clip within this expose, with which he gives an example of why he picked the school that he picked, and also in comparison to traditional schools and how much they cost.
I wound up owing only like $4,500, $5,000, something like that. That's all I owed, because I got up to like $7,000, $7,300 in grants.
Vocational schools typically cost much less than 4-year programs and take much less time to complete. But schooling is only part of a tradesperson's education.
When I got to the last 3 months of the program, a company hired me full time. I mean, I was a helper. I was passing tools to people, but I was in the field. So that kind of like motivated me to stay with it. Hands-on is 98%. You learn the bookwork as you go. If this unit's taking 54,000 BTUs, the only thing you're getting with 10 feet of a half inch, you're only getting 108,000 BTUs.
So another thing that I enjoyed about this part is just one of the things that he just explained right there was within his educational experience, half the work was just, one, the traditional book work, and the other half was being employed and then also working in the field and getting that understanding that you get only when you are in applied science, as they say, when you get those bumps and learns and you realize that some things aren't always textbook, and it's not like math, as they say, where it's going to be a straight answer. There's times we have to figure things out in order to get to that. And a lot of times that only happens with experience. And I think that's one of the big things that he talked about within his interview, as well as the investment. I mean, if you look at that was a $3 to $5 grand investment. And he said earlier, looking to come out and the geeks get 50 to 60. So you're going to get almost close to 10 times that. And again, although on average it was around 33,000 for some, you can look for different schools, and I think that's something he talked about in his interview, was that he purposely found a trade school that offered the the vocation that he would like, and it allowed him to be able to further his career, further his life, and make a better living for his family by doing that. And so I definitely want to highlight that. And there's one other thing that he talked about as well in here that I wanted to let go on out, and that was we discussed running his business, and I'm
While the average graduate with a 4-year degree will eventually earn more money over the course of a lifetime.
So, you want to get hired before summer ends? The hottest tech companies are desperate to hire for custom.
Skilled tradespeople still earn above the national average and can start earning sooner than their college-educated peers with less debt. Depending on the job and location, salaries for some trades can reach into the 6 figures.
So again, that's a sound investment. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about within this show as well is how different factors and locations, you maybe go to school in one location because they offer the vocation at a certain rate, and then move to another location where they pay for that possession at a higher rate, and that's an opportunity for people to find a way to, make it in society without necessarily having to take on that.
So now that I am my own boss, I roughly make $11K a month. Some months are good, some months are bad. Learning how to manage your time is probably like the biggest thing. I got to make sure the guys got all the material they need. And I also need to make sure that all the credit cards are paid. I got to be on the phone with customers, service calls, estimates, setting appointments. Right now, because I do everything, I don't even have a secretary. So I get home and I clock in to be the office person. Number one thing, finding good employees.
Amen.
Number one, it's the hardest thing in the world. That's been my biggest struggle being a business owner. The guys that I use, the guys that do the job with me, when you got them type of guys, it just makes your job easier, period.
Over the last couple decades,
So, yeah, I wanted to highlight Lewis's experience in discussing this this show this week, because I felt like it really shows again how you don't necessarily have to go a traditional route where some people might look at having to go to a university or having to, receive a certain degree. And I'm a beneficiary of doing those things. And I know that, if you can and you do aspire to do that, that's great. But there's other ways as well for individuals to get a piece of the American dream and have a good life, and not have to take on the rigors of having to go to school and other things that come on with that, the debt that comes associated with that, and anything else that comes with it, the job markets that may be available or may not, or other things. So I think Lewis's story was a great story to highlight because it shows again other ways that people can make money in this society and in this world, and still be able to employ other individuals, still be able to do what they have to do. But it also showed on the back end, in order for him to make that, he has to be the individual to do a lot of that work, the scheduling, the working with the customers and doing the client face and having to speak with every individual, the doing the appointments, to having to go do to just get the consulting for different jobs, maybe having to manage certain jobs. So it's a lot that, goes on with that. But like you see, he also can show that he can gain a lot when you're willing to put in that work and you're able to find individuals who are able to work with you and build with you because they see the vision and they believe and they're willing to give it their all as well. So I think it was a beautiful story to show and to highlight, and another way to let people know that, anything is possible in this world if you just kind of find your way and you look to make things happen.
Yeah, Sam, you're muted.
My bad. I wanted to jump in there. I think it's important to also recognize, a lot of times we talk about life as a professional here on this show, but everybody that watches our show doesn't have a professional job. You know what I'm saying? There are people that are contractors, there are blue collar work. There's a lot of blue collar workers that watch us. There are some kids that watch us that, definitely might want to know what they're going to do when they grow up. You know what I'm saying? And in the time of COVID, it's kind of a hard thing to navigate through. It's kind of hard already prior to not pre-COVID, but post-COVID, it makes it a little bit more difficult because of the future of work and jobs and things like that. Also, too, one of the things that I thought I was glad that they brought up was the cost of education. There have been several things that our government has been trying to do, in order to kind of help curb that. It's worked for some, but it hasn't worked for many. I know for us as lawyers, the only way we can really get that type of assistance is if we work in a public sector. Most people don't work in the public sector, and then you have to work there for like 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And I think, thinking about how that could affect you, it's still going to have a difficult, you'll have a difficult time with it when you're talking about student loans and things like that. Having a trade, I think, is good because, number one, you're always going to need it, right? You're always going to need that trade. It's one of those things that doesn't really, most trades, not all, but most trades, people don't really go out of business for a lot of different types of trades. Some they do. I know when COVID hit, it impacted different trades. Like, for example, my brother-in-law has his own massage therapy company. So, he's a massage therapist. So when COVID hit, his clientele dropped. You know what I'm saying? Because it's COVID, But then if you have like the trucking industry, where more people are staying at home and things are getting, delivered across the country at a much higher rate, that trade skyrocketed. But then when you look at this gentleman here in this video who has a HVAC trade, he's never gonna not have any work, right? He's always gonna have work to do because people's ACs are gonna go out or the heat is, and he's somewhere where it gets cold. So, it's a good thing to potentially have. You do have to have the proper training for most trades. And I think that is definitely something worth looking into if you don't want to spend the money for college, or if school isn't for you. School's just not for everybody. That's another thing that, people also have to remember, that it's not for everybody, and that the business opportunities are definitely there. And during the time of COVID, I think a lot of people, especially like when a lot of these cities were shut down, quarantined, all that stuff, it was like a good time to like get that trade. But I don't know if all of those schools were open. It was definitely a good time because people were in the house, they had that extra time. I'm glad you brought that to the attention of our viewers there, E, because I think that oftentimes, trades are overlooked, and I don't think that they should, because they are definitely a very integral part of our economy.
Absolutely. And again, I'm sorry, I just wanted to.
No, go ahead.
With construction and work like that's one of the biggest things. As you know, when we talked about essential workers, construction didn't stop. That's one thing that we always say. That is a field and industry that will always go. We talk about in our industry the health and protection of the safety, like of the well-being. That almost is like one of the those are buzzwords in our field, because we understand that the concept of just saying the protection of the environment of all is what we build everything on. So for us to be able to say that, we want to move America forward, construction is part of that. And so they will always be like on the front line, just like our, medical service workers and just like other individuals and professionals that kind of help make the world go round. So it's a field that will always be needed and always be growing, because especially as there's more people coming, there'll be more buildings coming in, and likely it'll be more bigger buildings that's coming up so that they can put everyone in places together, because we don't have enough land for everyone to have, homes, and as we see by the prices of things. So I didn't want to take too much, but go ahead, Malik. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, one of the points that they illustrated that really spoke to my heart was the fact that, 98% is spent on the job learning. So that's 2% like, the textbooks, the traditional way, right? That they teach you, right? Through the textbooks, university schooling. So 98% on the job training, 2%, textbook school in his experience, right? And I find the same way, like, most of the time it's going to be a greater percentage of your learning is going to be done hands-on, sort of apprenticeships, actually getting the job and just learning right away. So that's one of the benefits of the trade school that I'm just picking up just off this video, right? If you just look at the video, you see a benefit like, okay, the guy Luis, he was, he went to the trade school. He was able to save money because of grants. He only owed $4,000 to $5,000, easy to pay back. And he was able to start making money right away. It wasn't that much money, but he was able to earn earlier, right? And even when they posted the averages up there, the averages, well, it's not the same as a 4-year degree, but you start earning earlier and you have significantly less debt to pay. So you have less bills. So that helps you out in the long run too, as well. So he eventually became an own business owner, started making $11K a month. Although he has to do everything, he's still able to earn, in excess of 6 figures, right, a year. So he's still making a good living for himself. He has to work hard, but who doesn't have to work hard? Even when you have a job, it's $55K a year, you're still working hard sometimes, or even harder than the boss, right? So it depends. Even if you're not a business owner, it's not for you, you can still work as an employee and still earn a decent living starting out. And the last point I want to make real quick on this topic here is that I think the schools and universities are overpriced. And that chart was really illustrating that. Like, what was it, like 33,000 was for the vocational trade schools, and then it was like almost double, like almost 70,000 or something for the 4-year schools. It was a crazy number for those universities and colleges. I think they're overpaying people.
It was like 73,000. It was like 73,000 for people to go to college and like 33,000 for trade
I know
school.
all the
there's like
different
2 to 4
schools.
years.
Yeah, I know there's like different schools, so different schools have different pricing, but overall, you're probably going to find the average to be higher at a 4-year traditional university, like Sam was pointing out to us. So that's definitely an interesting point that, maybe university isn't the way, because you can get a lot of certifications and do things that way to, get money. You don't have to necessarily go to a 4-year university, get some degree where you don't have a guaranteed job. And like he pointed out in the video, it's like a risky gamble, right? Like you go to this expensive school, they don't guarantee you a job, and they just leave you out in the woods like, okay, just tighten up your resume and just apply. It's not like, okay, after this, you got this job program, you complete that, here's a job. It's nothing like that. So they don't, hook you up like that. Some of the bigger schools, they do have a good network where they help you out, but they don't really guarantee anything. And for all that money, they should be guaranteeing something, in my opinion. But yeah, we can kind of go on to the next.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. To transition. I mean, to piggyback off of what you said, and I'll just transition to the other thing. It's not to say that going to school is a bad thing, right? All 3 of us went to school. We went to undergrad, we went to law school, we have student loan debt.
Yeah, I'm just saying, do a cost benefit analysis, really.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And that's what I'm getting at, right? Absolutely. But I think that the point is that there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like, if the goal is to achieve the American dream, there's more than one way to go about doing that. Now, everybody has
works for you.
Exactly. And so, there's nothing wrong with analyzing how much it's going to cost. You know what I'm saying? That should be a factor, because a lot of times us as young kids, especially straight out of high school, like, all right, I want to go to college, because we see college life. We're always told like college is like kind of pushed down your throat a little bit, and then you go to college, a lot of people don't finish. I remember my first day, I don't remember if it was my first day of college, but one of the first days we had like a convocation, and they said, now, for the record, I went to an HBCU, 10% of Black people go to go to college. That's just a stat, right? Could be a little bit more by now, but it's about 10%. W.E.B. Du Bois coined the Black kids that go to college as the talented 10th, okay? But I remember at that convocation, they told us, look to your left and look to your right. Chances are neither one of those people sitting on either side of you are gonna be there when you graduate. When I graduated, neither one of the people I was sitting next to at that convocation were there. And a lot of it is because of finances. There's definitely other ways to make money, but you know, with that being said, the reason why I was talking about COVID earlier, which is going to, you know, segue into the next thing, is the way that COVID has affected our economy and people's ability to work and what it's done to them mentally, right? Because, you know, when COVID first hit, everybody that's like super extroverted, that like loves going outside, loves being outside, couldn't go outside and they were completely losing it, right? There's some people that it may not necessarily have been about going outside, but it may have been the routine, right? They have a certain routine that they had to follow every day. The change, they just weren't doing well with the change. It was affecting lots of different people's mental health. And also too, for some people, it had to do with prestige, right? And what I mean by that, so PBS, just like the clip that we just watched that he showed, I have a different clip. There was a young lady, her name is Catherine Perry. She's a 25-year-old sales manager. She was living in San Francisco. And when the pandemic hit, she was a sales manager for a tech company, which I think is also important. When the pandemic hit, everybody had to go home, stay inside. Everybody originally thought it was only gonna last 2 weeks. Here we are, almost 2 years later, and some people are still in the house, right? A lot of jobs are still not fully open. And so the video that I have, I'm not gonna watch the whole thing, we're just gonna watch parts of it, talks about the mental health aspects of it. But for Miss Perry, Berry rather, the thing about her is when she's always been an overachiever, an A-type personality. And for her, it wasn't about the money, it was about the accolades. And working from home, the accolades are not the same, right? Because you're not constantly in there with a bunch of different people, talking to different people, dealing with different people on a regular basis, you know, things like that. So I just wanted to give you guys some of the background and also talk about how the pressures to get things done have affected her mental health, because she started working more hours. You know, she also started because she didn't have anything else to do, number one, and number two, because everybody's working more hours. Everybody just assumes you're unavailable. That you are available. And so you work more hours, and so, you know, it triggers burnout. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna go ahead and get right to it. Can you guys see my screen? Yep, you can see it. Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, cool.
COVID upended the working landscape for most Americans. Many were laid off or furloughed, some forced to work under dangerous conditions. But if you were one of the lucky ones, you had a job that could go remote. And it's this shift that experts expect to continue even after the pandemic subsides.
It's estimated that about 5% of office employees worked remotely before 2020, a number that significantly increased during the pandemic and is expected to settle at about 20 to 30% for the foreseeable future. These jobs are most likely to be white-collar, computer-based office jobs that require a college degree.
While a majority of these workers report that they want to continue working from home, there are some pitfalls to the practice, especially for those who tend to make career achievement a pillar of their identity.
So, you know, this young lady, this is Miss Berry right here. She'd been doing YouTubes for a long time, trying to teach people how to make money, things like that. And then she went on to the tech world. And, you know, it's just really interesting because when she started off in her life and starts working at these jobs or whatever, you know, she went on to, hang on just a second, I'm having a technical issue. she went on to, getting roommates, which is what a lot of people do around her age, right? And then, living their life, going ahead and continuing to work as hard as she can, to do well in life. And so with that being said, once everybody had to work from home, it even affected her ability to work from home. And I say that because, everybody in our household had to work from home. So the next portion of the clip that I'm going to show is her pretty much talking about what happened in her experience. And also talks about how people have had to pretty much been moving and migrating all around the country as it relates to work, the pandemic, and things of that nature.
3 major tech companies, they are now strongly recommending their employees work from home.
Early on in the pandemic, I was living in an apartment in San Francisco with a couple of roommates. Trying to do the work from home thing there quickly became very difficult, being that San Francisco apartments, just not enough space to have a desk, have my own working environment, so we were constantly on top of each other. We all mutually decided to end our lease and move our separate ways. I ended up coming back to my parents' house and moving in with them into my childhood bedroom, and so that's where I do all my work now.
Catherine's not alone. 31% of young people relocated during the pandemic, mostly to either be with friends or family or to save money on housing. Like Catherine, they tended to leave expensive city centers for more affordable areas nearby. This exodus to the suburbs will probably continue as remote work becomes more prevalent. Unsurprisingly, tech is leading the way, as many of their workers were already integrated into an online workflow.
So both of my parents are also working from home. They also both work in tech. My dad's in customer support engineering and my mom's a program manager. So we're all taking calls, all doing emails. We're all in the same vicinity all day.
I'm going to keep going, but I think it's also interesting to note what those stats said. Those are very, very high numbers, right? It was like 82% of major cities lost residents, while 91% gained new residents. Suburbs gained new residents. And one of the things that it made me think about was the cost of living in a lot of cities, right? The cost of living has gone up immensely in a lot of cities. Miami now being the second most expensive city in the country to live in. I think it beat LA. I think it's New York, now Miami, then LA, if I'm not mistaken. And so I think it's just an interesting thing to remember that these things have other types of effects on different cities and on different economic situations and circumstances within, the cities and for people.
We're all in the kitchen trying to make lunch at the same time every day, and I didn't have the emotional availability to be the kindest roommate, to be the most patient daughter.
Well, that is beautiful.
Thank you.
What's underneath it?
Sunflower butter.
Okay.
And I do feel bad about kind of how irritable I got to be in the pandemic because of my mental health.
Studies show that at-home workers are just as or more productive than their office counterparts.
94%.
But recent findings suggest that this may be due to the fact that remote workers are simply putting in more hours.
Yeah.
Nearly 70% of office employees who transitioned to home during the pandemic report working on the weekend, and 45%.
I think that in part is also too, like many cities weren't open like we were here in Atlanta, or like they were even in Florida. And so people didn't have anything else to do but work. But the problem is doing all that work all of the time isn't healthy.
5% say they work more hours per week than they did before. This is especially true of younger employees.
So, caught it right before the ad came on. So, a lot of that, creates burnout. And I think that it's important to understand that whenever you work extended hours, you have to be careful. Sorry about that. You have to be careful about burnout. Burnout can cause physical health problems, and a lot of times people don't realize that. So, whatever, when you're not getting enough rest, you're not setting proper boundaries, things like that, it can definitely create burnout. Then this particular clip also gives a couple of stats about that. So hang on just a second with me.
Hey, Sam, before you bring that up, I wanted to jump in on
Yeah,
what
sure.
you just show to us. I'm thinking it's very interesting that work from home is just as productive, if not more, 94% of the time. And I think more companies should go remote if people are able to do remote. I don't know the cost of going remote. It might be some more added cost to it. So not every company can do it, but some of the bigger corporations can definitely go remote. I see that. And also, the higher cost of living. So that, especially with those people such as the young lady who was in that video, the cost of living, the distractions of the roommates played a role in her wanting to just go back home with her parents, because if you're living in San Francisco, you got to be making a lot of money, right, to stay there. Some people who make $100,000 even had to relocate because it's just too much. So the cost of living is very high.
I think also too, Malik, one of the things, it kind of ties into ease. When you talk about people moving, and you're talking about the cost of living, and you're talking about all of those things, oh shoot, I lost it. I hate when that happens. Pretty much when you talk about doing all of those things, it can still have an effect on your mental health, right? Especially when you go from living on your own to having to live with someone else. And when you're talking about migrating and going to different places, it's one thing if you're migrating to go live close to friends or family. But when you go to live at home, it can definitely be a problem when people are working from home all day.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into too. That point of because the distractions as well.
Right, because the other thing about it is when you're working from home, when you're by yourself and you're working from home, yeah, you can get a lot of work done, but the solitude can also be frustrating because you're by yourself all the time. But then also too, on the flip side, when you're working from home and everybody's always home, you don't ever get a minute to yourself. So it's almost like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But what you said about the money aspect, big corporations probably can't afford it. As a matter of fact, they can probably save money on overhead. As a result, one of the things that this thing we'll talk about in just a second, I'm about to pull it up, is not just about how much money they save, but also the cost for technology, right? Because there are definitely some technological kinks that need to be worked out as it relates to working from home, especially for companies that don't typically use this type of technology for people to be remote. But go ahead, say what you were going to say before I go ahead and pop on that next thing.
No, I was just going to say, I was just going to wrap up with that. Like some of those higher costs could put a mental strain on people, that they're always at home, the cost of living is high. And then when the young lady went back to her parents, just like she was an impatient daughter, like she was saying, she was a little irritated, and everybody's doing the same thing. She just basically was.
Her parents were working at home too.
Displeasure. Yeah, everybody's home, so she doesn't get a break, or she can't live the life she wants to live. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, but I was just gonna jump in there as well as saying that, in addition to those things, like how that could have an effect on people working those hours, the fact that companies could get more production out of people if you know what I'm saying, they choose to allow that to occur. The type of employment that will allow for companies to have that, and the only thing I think that is a bigger benefactor of it is the fact that it is a cost-saving measure. And one thing we know about this country is capitalism runs a lot of things. So if we can, find ways to improve measures like that, then you can best believe that I think that it looks like it would be something that can present itself to be there for a long time.
Yeah. With that being said, let me go ahead and try to get into this next part. Here we go.
Pandemic, over half of remote workers surveyed reported feeling burned out. Many said they felt less connected to colleagues, less productive, and less positive about their careers.
Burnout is a particular threat for people whose identities are closely intertwined with their careers. Psychologists call this enmeshment, any blurring of the border between one's career and personal life, like losing clearly delineated work hours, can easily allow their job to crowd out all other hobbies and activities.
When they first told us we were going home, we didn't know we'd be going home for a year. We thought,
yeah, like, you know, some people love their work and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But we also have to be able to set borders and boundaries. One part of this video, she mentioned how somebody might send an email at 9 o'clock and you would respond because everybody knows that you don't have anything better to do, or you're not doing anything else, or you're available. Either way, you know, without setting those proper boundaries, if all you're doing is focusing on one thing all the time, it will have an effect on you. So, you know, burnout is very, very real. So for those of you guys who are working from home, please, you know, figure it out. Figure out if you feel burnt out. Are you stopping work? Are you taking adequate breaks? Are you doing the things that you have to do? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the last part of this video that I wanted to get into was some of the solutions. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a clear fix, you know, because I think everybody is really kind of just trying to figure it all out. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead and share this portion.
According to a study by McKinsey & Company, up to 25% of...
For just a second, there's an ad coming.
I've got a brand new iPhone in a mouse case, and I'm about to drop it onto some rocks. Wow.
Sorry.
Of workforces in advanced economies could work at home permanently for all or most of the week. Many companies are eyeing a hybrid model, requiring employees to be physically in the office about half the time.
But they're still mostly focused on the technical hurdles of remote work, like equipment and internet access, rather than psychological ones. Some argue that employers need to offer more guidance to their workers on how to manage their hours and workloads.
Until that happens, it will fall on individual employees to find their own strategies to maintain a healthy work-life balance.
I will not be logging into Outlook. I will not be logging into my work laptop that is shut and stowed away in its weekend compartment because we are all about setting boundaries here.
So,
Right.
I hear that. You gotta set boundaries, you know.
Absolutely.
You can burn out, you can overload.
Exactly. Family.
Like, you know, 10, 12-hour days. It's too much. What's up, Chino? How you doing? Fourth co-host.
Right.
But yeah, like I thought it was an interesting point before you got to that part of the clip, the other clip with the career identity. A lot of people really take a lot of pride and identify with their careers and jobs. And I think corporations really need to take a look at the mental health aspect of things, maybe offer some sort of guidance, maybe some sort of like, maybe they need to start hiring some therapists or requiring like some monthly sessions, or not requiring, but making it optional to have a monthly session and more available. Yeah. In terms of the mental health aspect of things, because you don't have to worry about the physical aspect, right? They're at their house, they're doing their own thing, but the mental aspect of the person's health.
The only reason why I say you do have to be a little concerned about the physical health is because what comes from
you know what I mean, liability,
the
like they're driving on the road or you know, they're doing something dangerous. I'm talking about, you don't have to worry about that. Like, of course, something can happen at home, but you're more concerned about the mental health.
That's not what I mean. What I mean is that the mental health aspect of it can affect the physical body. Like, you don't want your workers to be so burnt out that they have a heart attack. You know what I'm saying?
That's basically what I'm saying. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but that the root of it is the mental health, and yeah, exactly. So you do want to focus on their health because the mental health can affect their physical health. Right.
Right,
I was just
right.
coming from it at a standpoint where you gotta really focus on the mental health because when they're just there isolated like that and working those long hours, it can get to them mentally. They might not, and then that leads to the physical aspect, right? Like not eating as much, not exercising as much, not doing
Right,
anything. So
right,
that's all. All right.
right.
What are you
You
gonna
there?
say? I
Yeah,
know I kind of
no,
cut you
I'm
off a
still
little.
on that. I definitely think that those are the things that, again, just like that, I think it again falls on company. It would be nice if companies do, but again, right? But I think that it's. I think companies' motivation is their work and their production and what they do. So to me, they're going to be focused on just making sure that they continue to get the most productivity, and a lot of cases. Um, so I feel like it will fall on the employee to make sure that they're doing the things that they need to do, and however that may be. Because for some people, it may be setting boundaries daily. It may be for others, you know what I'm saying, setting them weekly. It may be, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is that you have to do to get yourself in a position to do what you need to perform. Then I think that that's what's going to have to happen, so that individuals are able to do their best job as well as um, perform their best job as well as give the company what they need. And with that, I just want to again give a recognition to Stringfellow Accountant and their firm, like I said, in the greater Michigan area. Excuse me, Stringfellow Accountant, and that's Andre Stringfellow. So if anyone would like, they can reach out to them at Andre at stringfellowaccounting.com. We can provide help and assistance with any accounting needs. So that's our Black Business of the Week. And then I also wanted to do the motivational minute. And this week's quote we have, it was by a teacher, excuse me, it was by an individual by the name of Clint Smith. And he was telling a story, and I think it's one that I think that we all can kind of learn from, because it kind of touches on getting guidance. And one of the reasons that we do this show and try to educate people is so that they can kind of have understandings on different ways, or some of the things that's going on in society, so that you can kind of find ways to do what might be coming to you that you may not have even knew of, thought of, or heard of. And that's some of the things that we enjoy doing in our free time. So the quote goes, one of the best things that a teacher ever did for me was to say, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll do some research. It modeled a more honest intellectual discourse. You don't have to pretend that you have everything and that you know everything to share an immediate or feel as though you have to share an immediate opinion. And I think that really serves well, because in our profession, you always have to have an answer. And that's just how it is. And a lot of times within life, a lot of times people want to hear the right answer at that. And so, but the right answer, and we talked about this discourse as well, can depending on the situation. So everything is kind of gray in that regards. But nonetheless, being honest and telling someone that they're asking you a question or something and you don't know, maybe, and you can relate to them and let them know, hey, you know what, I don't have the right answer for that at this moment. Give me a second, let me look into that and get back with you. That's a real thing, and that's a real response. And I think if we take that approach into this world of today and looking at, okay, Willie, I don't know about working from home. What's some things that I can do to look into finding a profession like that, if that's something that I would like to do? Or if not, I really want to find my things. Or what's some professions that I can find where I can be out in the field and doing what I need to do? I don't necessarily maybe have to have a traditional boss or, that 9 to 5 type of mindset. So what opportunities will I be able to have that allow me that? And I also want to make sure that we focus on that, Mr. Luis, as well, to understand that, again, he said he had those long days, because one thing I've come to realize is that no one in society gets to a certain point without putting in that work. And that doesn't mean it's like a simple, whatever it is, a 10-hour day, 5-hour day, 8-hour day, 6, whatever it is for you. But I see that it seems like you consistently people have to work hard to get to the things that they want to have, especially if it's, a high income in society. So I just want to say that and leave that as some of our motivation for people. Definitely wanted to give a shout out to everyone, let them know that, you can find me and anything else. I don't know if you guys had any other closing remarks that y'all want to
Yeah, I have one. One thing I wanted to touch on is something that you said was about people finding their own boundaries. I think it is important for you to make sure that you find your own boundaries in work. And also remember that there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? As it relates to not just boundaries, but also making money, and continuing to have a strong livelihood. For business owners, though, I think it would be helpful to give tips. If you're not going to ensure that your employees their mental health is in a good, stable space, especially in times where they are forced to work from home and you're not doing any type of a hybrid type of situation, offer tips. I worked for a big corporation for a number of years, and because they knew we had to do a lot of sitting, a lot of times every year, they would give us tips on ergonomics and the things that we can do to help maintain our back, right? So we didn't have a bad back from just sitting all day. So it wouldn't hurt to find different tips and encourage boundaries, encourage people logging off at a certain time, encourage not working on the weekends, things like that. I know some business owners don't like that idea because they would prefer to get more work because that means more money and all that stuff, and more productivity. But you also need a high momentum for your employees. So unless you intend on encouraging burnout, you want to make sure that you are encouraging a high momentum and, a good environment, a good positive environment for them to be in so that they don't experience burnout. And if you want to choose to go out, get a trade and work for yourself, have at it. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that, especially if it's not one of those trades that are like age restrictive and you can age out and all that other kind of stuff. If it's something that you've always wanted to do, life is short, go do it, right? But just make sure you weigh your options. And, don't be afraid to take a risk. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to take a risk. And when I say take a risk, I don't mean doing something reckless. I mean doing something that's going to help benefit you. So that's my final thought on that. If you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on Facebook at Samantha Adams -ESQ, or you can follow me on Instagram at Samantha Renee 77_ESQ. You can also make sure you follow all of us, follow our Counterpoise podcast on Counterpoise podcast right here on Facebook, also on Instagram. Check us out Wednesdays at 8:30-ish, where we do our What's Up Wednesday, where we talk about different hot topics. And you can also check us out on YouTube, Counterpoise podcast. And this very episode, along with our past Sunday episodes, are also going to be posted there as well. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, tap in, and also feel free to let us know if there's a topic that you want to hear about. We'll be more than happy to talk about it. We're pretty interactive and we love our viewers. So that's what I had. Malik?
Yeah, I echo my fellow co-host Sam's sentiments with all that stuff. Follow, like, subscribe, share. You can reach us at Counterpoise Podcast. If you want to follow me, it's Malik M. Foster on all social media handles. I appreciate that. E, want to take us home here?
Absolutely will. So you guys can find me again on that guy 2104 on Instagram here every Sunday around 11:30. It's hold on, and then we'll be here on Facebook Live as well. On YouTube, you'll be able to find this episode up there later on today. I want to thank everybody for viewing and all the other viewers. And hope that again that you spread the word. Let's help somebody. Let's each one reach one. And let's take this to another level, guys. Let's get it. All right, thank y'all. Let's have a good one. And we're about to get ready to get up out of here momentarily. So here we go. Hey.